I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend till the end. Heidi-ho, ha ha ha. And I'm Joel Kelman, and on the fourth day of Christmas, Santa gave me 2 wet bandits getting the crap beaten out of them. Afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. And I just got back from seeing Home Alone on the big screen, and this is kind of like a special viewing that I saw because I actually saw it in my hometown. The theater that I saw it at, so it doesn't really play movies anymore. It's more of like a talent factory. I haven't been there in well over 10 years. The last movie that I saw in that theater was, I think, Pixar's Bolt, which came out in 2008. So it's been almost 15 years. Or at least that's the last one that I remember seeing there. But it's been a really long time since I've stepped foot in that theater. But today they showed a special viewing of Home Alone, which, from what I've heard, like, they do that every year during Christmas time. So I'm just glad that I got to see it, and I got to see it on the big screen because I love watching like the older films in the theaters. And like, just to add to it, I saw a couple old friends there, which again goes with what I always say about how like we should still be watching movies in theaters because like we get to watch them with our friends. Like, again, like that one friend of mine on YouTube, Horror Aesthetics, like the only reason why I'm still in touch with her at all is because I ended up seeing that one movie, Pearl, in the theaters, and she was literally 2 seats away from me. If I didn't see it then I probably wouldn't have ever seen her again, which is great. So, I mean, this was a great opportunity to see Home Alone like in a movie theater, and an even better opportunity to see it like in the theater of the town that I grew up in. So, enough about that. Time to talk about the story. It's been a while since I've actually seen Home Alone, but the story, like, now that I've seen it again after a few years, like, it's kind of pretty simple. Like, just Macaulay Culkin's character Kevin, he's basically a little shit, and he's always talking about how like he hates his family, he wishes he lived alone. Well, through some circumstances and coincidences, a few days before Christmas, the family ends up having to rush to the airport to go to Paris to see, I think, extended family up in there. And because of that, they accidentally leave Kevin, and now Kevin basically has the house all to himself. But unfortunately, his house is one of many that's now at risk of being robbed by the wet bandits, Harry and Marv, played by Joe Pesci, and I think the guy's name was Daniel Stern, who played Marv. I can't remember, but it's funny because I just looked up the movie on Wikipedia. But for a kid at the time, Macaulay Culkin is great as Kevin. He actually acts and talks like how a kid would in situations like that, where, like, I mean, obviously, he's a bit of a moron, a jerk, like in the opening few minutes, like just hating everyone in his family, and like he thinks that everybody hates him, like when they like rightfully call him out on his bull crap. And then, like, he's overjoyed to finally get the house to himself, but eventually, like, he slowly realizes that he that he misses his family. And then when, like, he finally has to, like, fight off the wet bandits in his house, like, I don't know if if I was the only one who got this sense, but like he seems to take on the feeling like that he feels like he's more badass than he really is, which I think is what most kids were like whenever they're put in that kind of situation. Joe Pesci and the guy who plays Marv, they're great. I mean, I've seen Joe Pesci in a lot more movies. This was one of my more favorite films that he's been in, which is saying a lot, because I mean, I used to see movies of him in like films like Casino or Goodfellas. That was the other one I was thinking of, where at this point, at that point, he was basically typecast as like the gangster character, and he sort of still is that kind of character in like Home Alone, but more of like in like a comedic sense, where like the comedy in this film like is like straight up slapstick. Like the three main characters of Kevin, Harry, and Marv, like they're basically like cartoon characters, just like not just in their facial expressions, but in their physical actions, and then that stuff just made me laugh out loud in this like while I was watching this movie. Like I've always liked the movie, but it's but I never really realized like how much it has really made me laugh even as an adult. But yeah, Joe Pesci does a great performance as like a character that he doesn't usually play as. The guy who plays Marv is great. I think this is the only movie that I've ever seen that actor in. I can't remember. Catherine O'Hara as mom. She's great as someone like who's like desperately trying to get back to her son. Where she even says that like she'll sell her soul to the devil just to see him again. Which, speaking of, in that scene where she's talking with that one travel agent. So, speaking of Chucky from earlier, one thing that I didn't notice was that, like, until tonight, was that the guy who plays as the travel agent, he's the same guy who plays as the jewelry manager in the original Child's Play movie, the one where he's arguing with Karen Barkley and her friend Maggie about, like, about staying late on Andy's birthday because she still has to do her job. So then Maggie is the one who like convinces him to like let Maggie like go home early so that she can like babysit Andy. So that's a cool thing that I never really noticed until tonight. And speaking of things I didn't notice, so I always knew, like, in the back of my head that one of the main messages of the film is, like, not only being thankful for, like, the family you have and, like, the things you got, but also, there's kind of, like, a second message in the film about, like, don't judge a book by its cover, and that's usually shown through, the old man Marley, they call him in the movie. The old man with the white beard and the shovel, because like throughout the film, like Kevin is always scared of him and running away from him, and it's not until the last 15-20 minutes where like they actually have that talk in church, where Marley like tells him like, hey, all that stuff that the other kids are saying about me, it's not true. But it also shows that message through like through Harry, because like during the opening scene, like Harry is there in like dressed up as a police officer, which as a kid I don't think I ever really noticed that before. But after like a few more viewings of the film, that's why I finally realized it. That he first plays a cop where where like he seems like he's trying to help out the family, trying to make sure like they're all fine, like they're not gonna get robbed, and then like in the immediate scene afterwards, it shows him like as his actual self, like robbing houses with his partner in crime, Marv. So that was always very cool. It's funny because I also never really realized that the whole sequence of Kevin setting the traps, like it doesn't happen until like the final 20-ish minutes. I mean, there's a few shenanigans he does here or there, of like playing that movie Angels with Filthy Souls back and forth, like to scare away like the pizza delivery guy and then Marv. Which, by the way, I was one of those kids who actually looked up that movie hoping that I could find it on Amazon or eBay or wherever. Because I mean, the film actually looks kind of cool. I'd watch it. Looks like one of those pretty fun old gangster movies. But he doesn't really get into like the whole like meat of setting traps until like the final 20-ish minutes, to the point where I wonder like just how much he could have actually done, like in what I'm assuming was the last hour before the Wet Bandits come in to rob the place. But that's just a nitpick of mine, because overall the film was great. I love the music that they used, where they're always using like classical Christmas songs, like "Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree," "Have Yourself a Merry Christmas," "Run Run Rudolph." That was my favorite song out of all of them, to be honest. Can't remember if I think I was singing that one a lot. I think that's really all I gotta say about the movie. I guess there is, I mean, outside of the movie, like, I mean, I loved stepping foot in that movie theater again. That's in my town. The place is called Camelot, by the way, and I don't know. I just wish that it stayed as a movie theater. I mean, there was probably a pretty good reason why it didn't, why it wasn't. Back when I was a kid, I never really knew why they shut it down. Now I'm pretty sure it was because like they just couldn't like financially support it at the time. But I'm hoping that they show more movies there. I do kind of wish that they played the movie in full screen, though. Because when they were playing it, like, it was pretty clear that they were playing the movie from a computer, and like you could actually see the top bar for the first few minutes of saying like a DVD player, Home Alone, that kind of thing. And for some reason I don't know if it was an option on the DVD, but the aspect ratio that they played it from was like this small box where like you could kind of see the outline of like the black borders just all around it. So like it wasn't even in widescreen or anything. But that's just another nitpick. And then the only other thing in retrospect that isn't technically the film's fault, but after rewatching this movie again, I kind of like Home Alone 2 even less. And like the comedy was fine in that movie. Like I think I've only seen that one once, and well, there's kind of a reason why I haven't, because even when I first watched Home Alone 2 as a kid, like I still thought in the back of my head that like they just did the exact same thing as the first movie, except that they just set it in New York, right? And like it's not like movies like Star Wars or anything where like they do things differently enough. Like, no, all they did was all they did was just change the location, because they almost redo the film beat for beat in that movie. Like, Kevin wishes that he doesn't have a family. The family accidentally leaves him wherever. The Wet Bandits go after him, and throughout the whole thing, he's doing all these shenanigans, right? And in doing so, he also assumes what this one older character is. Like, in the first movie, it was Marley. In the second one, it was the Pigeon Lady. And thinking about that movie as an adult, and thinking about I'm gonna credit this to my college classes about filmmaking, that there's supposed to be a character arc with the protagonist. It makes me kind of like Home Alone 2 even less, because everything that Kevin went through in the first film, where he realizes that that he loves his family, he shouldn't push them away, he shouldn't judge a book by its cover with Marley, and he even gives Marley advice to talk with his son, because during that whole church scene, Marley talks about how he's afraid of seeing his son, because years ago, probably before Kevin was born, he and his son had this argument, and they talked about how they don't want to see each other again. And I never really realized it back then, but that's kind of a real impersonal. That was kind of a real impersonal moment in the film, because there are families that unfortunately have that problem all the time. And it took Kevin to suggest to him that calling his son, because even if his son still doesn't want to talk to him, at least he knows, then he won't be scared of doing anything, right? And they just undo everything that Kevin went through, because in the second movie, he still hates his family for some reason. He's back to being overjoyed when his family leaves him. He of course has to fight the Wet Bandits again, but he also is constantly running away from this this older person that everyone says is scary, right? So it's they wiped the slate clean of the first movie, because they probably just didn't have any ideas on what to do, and I think they also did that with Home Alone 4 when they eventually brought Kevin back. But that's just my speculation, because I haven't seen that one. I've only seen 1, 2, and 3. But I know they do the same thing with Home Alone 3. But they basically rehashed the same plot for, I think, all 5, now 6 movies. Because they recently they recently remade Home Alone, or made a sequel to it and put it on Disney Plus, where apparently the only actor who came back for it was the guy who played Buzz, Kevin's older brother. Which I haven't seen it. I got no desire to see it. I don't know. I stopped watching the Home Alone movies after the third one. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent here. My point is, the original Home Alone movie was great, and I'm glad that I got to see it in the theaters, and again, in the theater that I grew up with. Not, you guys know what I mean. Anyway, you guys all have Merry Christmas, and Heidi ho.